Hello and welcome back. Our camera did a little bit of a funny, let's say, and decided to fail on us. So we was on talking about how difference between the screenplay and a play script. Stage play script. Yeah. So and we were talking about the difference exterior, and then forest, wasn't we?
So exterior, interior. So the difference between exterior and interior. The time and the location. So I gave the example for a screen setting example that is in the Crucible is exterior night forest clearing. So that is whether the performance is exterior or interior, the time, whether it's night or day, because with screen you get the option to you film it in real time and you can film it at night or in day, compared to stage play where to depict time changes, it's said through character or done by lighting.
Yeah, because you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Mainly. The next part, Roman theatre. What did you get when you started looking at the material of Pot of Gold? What was your first sort of look at Roman comedy? It was very pantoist.
I think Bacchae settled me into my assumption on being a bit weird towards classical, or sort of putting it off, I'd say. So Bacchae eased me into that. So when we came to do Pot of Gold, I was less closed-minded about it.
Yeah.
And I'm more accepting of it.
Yeah, but the writing was really like panto-esque. It was really sort of.
Oh, it's really cheesy.
Cheesy sort of token character sort of thing, which I didn't really know.
Yeah.
Like they had that sort of material.
Oh, I feel like I thought there'd be serious. It'd be quite serious, quite.
Yeah, because you have gladiators and stuff, and you hear them stories all the time about how gladiators used to essentially fight with each other, and just murder each other. So that was my perception of Roman theatre. But then after looking at this, after looking at the Roman play out, it's sort of taken me back a little bit to how history has affected today's sort of culture. If you get what I'm saying. This was in the same day that we did Bacchae, we did a little bit of Roman, and we jumped back into Bacchae and it was our task to go home and read.
It was a way to ease us into it for later challenges.
A later challenge that we'll be talking about.
So if I go to Plautus wrote Pot of Gold, and Plautus was a Roman comedic playwright whose impact in theatre is still present today. Out of all Plautus' plays, 20 are still in existence, not all are complete, but provide an audience with enough information to carry out the extent of the play. So with Pot of Gold, there isn't actually an ending. The ending was lost through time. Yeah,
lost in history, which is kind of sad.
It's sad, and considering how many, this is again going back to Bacchae, Euripides wrote loads of plays, and the plays that are still in existence is literally second to none to what he did have. And I think that's sort of, today we need to appreciate what we do have with technology and how much print how Shakespeare's plays still coming through.
Yeah, even when they burned in the 19th, sort of 18th century, when it burned down, they had to rebuild it. It's still sort of kept it's echoing. Do you know, it's still echoing.
Yeah, it won't be lost right now. It's still going on.
Yeah.
I think being able to treasure that and be grateful that we do have resources where this work can live on.
Yeah. So after we watched Roman theatre, we moved on to Greek, finishing the Bacchae. So what do you when we finished the Bacchae? What was for me? It was very much I've become invested in Greek theatre, and I really enjoyed sort of how them stories are completely contrasting to today. We would never think of putting a child in a god's sort of hip.
Yeah, for me it was the religious aspect that sort of woke me up, I guess you could say,
Because it's
how
so
they
far off. It's so
personify
far.
things and the similarities between Christianity and Greek gods was
Because if you could essentially say you could watch Moses when he freed the Jews from. That's right, isn't it? The right person.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I might have got this wrong. Moses when he freed the Jews from Egyptian slavery, which was like what he's done. He's gone into Thebes to essentially avenge his family, but sort of kept sort of his people alive and taken away, and then
It's
taken
also
away power.
with Zeus and Dionysus, with God and Jesus, how Jesus had to prove that he was the son of God.
Yeah, and then people rejected him.
Yeah,
and so people.
and it was his way of proving. And I think, although it took a different turn with Dionysus, it's still the similarities there with things, which I really found that interesting with that. And then I think it's points that we've gone over, like just not being closed-minded to something, being open to it, accepting it for what it is, being able to read on if you don't understand. That gave me a whole new
it does.
reading.
It gives me a new, like you said, on religion, just religion in general.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's the how engraved fear has become in our society was so much in theatre and so much in, like you go to a church and they preach. They are preaching and they're essentially putting on a show. You know what I mean? So theatre has become so like engraved about worshipping and giving back, which was sort of fun in a way. It was really nice to explore sort of histories of religion, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. So, should we go on to
I'm a Minger.
I'm a Minger.
Okay, here I think we sort of covered this in our.
This was something that we kept saying.
We'll get onto it. We are finally onto it. I'm a Minger.
So I'll say a bit. I'm a Minger is by Alex Jones. It is a contemporary play written in 2008. The play follows the life of 14-year-old Katie as she goes through different issues in her teenage years, tackling topics such as mental health. The original piece is a one-woman show where the actress plays a variety of characters, giving clear distinction between each. So the play that we had is designed for one person, and it's to be able to switch between characters and be able to distinct between each character that she does play, because there are loads of characters.
And adapting it was just adding characters in it, but you could sort of see the layout was to sort of fit a one-woman show, because there were so many characters with completely different contrasting personalities.
Yeah.
You can sort of.
Yeah. I think that was something after we done the cold read, was looking and reflecting on ourselves and how well we depict between characters. So we just from the first section, we each, or a few of us, read part of the first section that had about 2 or 3 different characters, and they're all 14-year-old girls in school, and it's how they change between, and developing that. The first person that went up, the voices were very similar, attitude changed a little bit. Second one improved a bit more, but it was still somewhat the same.
Yeah, how would someone differentiate characteristics?
The third, it was it's sort of hair pulling, like this is what one character did, the other character sat up like this, or just it was more like token of what they were doing, like their body language.
The main note was it's if I'm a character that always rubs his neck.
Yeah.
It's got to be it's Luke rubbing his neck, not the character rubbing his neck.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a differentiation. What we learn is there needs to be a character. You need to be the character. If the character has a nervous twitch where he rubs his neck, be that character. Don't be you being that character.
Yeah, so I think as well, bringing that back to auditions or in drama school, and this is something that we touched on really early on, like with you, how you do, you've not done it as much, but where you go like this on your hair.
Yeah,
that is your thing.
Yeah, sort of thing.
If you brought that into a character, that is then you
being, and it sort of keeps away from me being the character, because from the start of the term, I'd always play with my hair just as a comfort thing.
And that's what everyone
stage.
picked up to.
And everyone was like, "You're playing with your hair. Stop playing with your hair." So
if you brought that into a character, that's it.
Into a character.
Luke playing the character.
Yeah, but it sort of now we've more moved on in our practice.
As a
And
progression
it,
training.
I've been taking them notes. It's been a lot easier just to be
you tend to
be
see,
aware.
like, bad habits die.
Yeah. It took me a little while, just be like, don't just. Well, what I first did is I put loads of like sort of gel and wax in my hair just to pull it all back, so it just stays there, so it doesn't fall on my face. So after that, then it sort of took me into a different way where I sort of noticed it and then I stopped it. I'd done things to prevent me from playing with my hair, just being on stage.
Yeah, in a way, it's like it sort of comes across like fidgeting, but not. You understand what?
Even now, I'm just like rubbing my legs sort of forwards, doing all this weird stuff. But then you can't do that. You can't do that on stage.
You've got to be neutral. Become the character really.
Yeah. So
if we go back, I was going to say about the cold read.
Yeah, so we're doing.
So for the cold read, I chose to read the part of Mel. So there wasn't any. We got a gist of the storyline, but there wasn't no like deep preparation of whose character was what. So we just chose.
You just had to learn
any character.
You just had to learn while you're doing.
Yeah, and it was we had colourblind casting and deadblind casting. But
I think for the main
roles,
characters, they want to keep
because of dynamic. It had to be to the gender they play, like with between like father
and
a daughter. There's a scene where they talk about the shortness of her skirt. So the conversation was between a mum and a daughter, and it's about the skirt. And if a father was to play that, it changes the dynamic. So it's important in that sense that you kept true to the script when selecting characters for the main parts. But apart from that, any other characters
you could kind of see it naturally, didn't it? If boys are naturally more stockier, and then that just gives a new. So we're as humans, we're sort of based to judge, so you don't get killed by someone.
Yeah.
So in that regard, naturally it was a logical choice.
Yeah.
For casting, that's where I sort of took it from.
So what character did you read in the?
I think I read Roger at one point. And Mr. C.
Yeah,
Mr. C and Roger. I sort of jumped. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was just Mr. C.
I think I just had one character, but some people did switch between characters for some parts being more than others. So as we finished reading it, we were given a task to actually perform it as a rehearsed read. Yeah.
So we had to then cast it, and the casting process.
Yeah, I was just about to say, but yeah, I think just to stick on the cold read for a minute. The cold, it goes to the rehearsed read anyway and casting, but it was to have the ability to read ahead. So we were never told when our part was coming up. It's just we knew we had to be 2 or 3 pages ahead to know when we were coming. And for finding character, this will go back to like when we first got given the books for like how I had to read junk and just had a like complete blank sheet of what I had to do. Is as you read the characters like a dialogue, what they sound like, or like create your own sort of image in your head. And for me, Mel's character was like she gets called a chav. There's a bit in the scene where it talks about having like rubbish extensions, and it just really it painted a picture for me. So when my lines came up again, that I created like a chavvy voice, and being able to embed that character for me and create the character's voice. So something that we did in the read, and I think in reflection to the read, it was the energy that I said would need improvement.
Yeah.
There were points where if your lines weren't happening, you was a bit low energy, not giving respect to those that were going for it, but then getting yourself back up, having a shake, being present in the room.
Because Mr. C's line only come at the end, towards the very, very end. So I spent most of my time just sort of sitting there reading, being engaged, but it does sort of take it out of you sometimes, because when you're just sort of sitting there listening to someone else like do this stuff and then getting up. When you say about energy, I had to go from being completely neutral, reading it, to being a character who's talking about child dying,
Yeah.
which I was a bit like, oh, I need to step this up again, because literally in the stage directions was just like Mr. C on the bridge of crying,
Yeah.
and from I had to quickly change it up and talking about how he's crying, and it was a lot of dynamic, a lot of energy. Had to just quickly go boom, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's an important skill for an actor just to be able to like, switch it on.
Switch it without faking it, I'd say, would be the important.
Yeah, or just wanting to do it. I think that's a key element to. If you want to do it, you'll just do it.
I think why that was noticeable for me is because the energy we put into Bacchae and the energy we put into Pot of Gold and the Crucible, where they were texts that we don't normally approach, but contemporary are texts that we're more likely to approach because it's in modern day and it's things that we feel we can relate to more, perhaps. So where we were used to it, we dropped the energy because it was like, oh.
And it was a naturalism play. Well, the Bacchae, you had to be big and grand. You had to be a Greek. That was the main key. You had to be a Greek god.
But I think
demigod. Sorry.
To do that again, I think it shouldn't be accepted that because we've done contemporary that we should be relaxed about it. It is a play that none of us have ever read before, so it should feel new and for the first time and have that discovery, wanting the discovery in you. And I think, that to go back again, that would definitely be an improvement to just keep discovering and keep discovering.
Yeah, and actually enjoy reading something. I think that's one. Just enjoy it, you know, just because you're just.
I think it's enjoy the moment, but you rarely get a chance where you have 19 people in a company where you can hear the different parts rather than you reading alone and trying to read between the different parts. It's being able to create that scene in your head through the voices, and I think that was a really good opportunity, and we should take advantage of that more with what we do have. So if we go on to casting now?
Casting, yeah. So the casting was very much like the class did essentially a vote on who would be which character.
Yeah, so we had we picked parts of the script where we think showed that character off best, and then for the dad, all the boys.
I think for the mum, dad, Katie, Roger.
That was it.
I think that was it. Yeah, they had to be their gender, just because of dynamics reasons, and the other characters before that. And in saying that, then we sort of casted them 4 characters, and then anyone sort of jumped in for the rest of the other characters. If you get what
that one, I feel was still a nomination, but it was more relaxed on who got characters.
So the set essentially was that you went up. Katie went up on stage. She started. We decided who would be Katie.
So it was the girl. Katie was first, and it was who could
connect.
Who could be able to connect with an audience, be able to carry the story the whole way through, keep the energy, and then I think the issue. So with Katie, when I auditioned, was. I was a second choice, I didn't get it, but it was the character that I'd given was good. It was just after a while where I hadn't been grounding myself that it could become quite whingy and whiny and you could lose the audience. However, the girl that did get the part of Katie was able to do the whingy and whiny and talk about life and it's so dramatic, but then ground herself and talk directly to an audience. So that is an improvement that I wanted to make, to just be able to ground myself more.
Yeah, definitely. Like as I was, I think I auditioned for the dad and Roger.